Well, it certainly is a pleasure to be with all of you today. It's a distinct honor to be here, and it's amazing to serve with all the airmen in this room in the best Air Force on the planet, for sure. So thank you for this opportunity. You know, and I always treasure my time that I get to spend at ATA. You know, I enjoy hearing all your stories about the challenges we face today, all the opportunities, and the camaraderie that we share. And General Everhart and I were majors together back in the building. And General McNabb remembers, he says Lieutenant Colonel because when I was a Lieutenant Colonel, we spent a lot of time together, right? So it's these relationships that get us through the toughest times. And thank you for sharing all your flying stories with me. I don't get near an airplane anymore, so I'm living vicariously through all your stories, so keep them coming, because that keeps me charged. Thank you, aviators. So this afternoon, I'd like to share some of the amazing things that our airmen have accomplished since the last ATA. I want to talk about our strength as an operational reserve. I want to share a story about service with you. And then we'll close by unveiling the painting titled Earth, Blood, and Fire, and we'll get into that at the very end. You know, but before I begin this, I'd like to present a video that our citizen airmen put together that kind of describes our reserve story. So if you please play the video.
When did you realize you weren't bound to be ordinary? That obstacles were opportunities, and limits were gateways to possibility. Explorers, problem solvers, irrepressible spirits, making your mark on the future of mankind. Though your purpose is your own, born from the improbable story of you, you are guided by the same light that led each of us here. Alone, you are formidable. Together, we are unstoppable. United in our conviction, unbreakable in the bonds we have forged in the fire of service. Life will carry on without us. And life will carry on because of us. For when we chose something bigger than ourselves, we realized we were destined to be limitless.
Amazing airmen doing amazing things, and that's all of us in this room and all that we support every day around the world. So thank you for that. So whether it be our continuous support operations throughout CENTCOM, PACOM, EUCOM, or most recently our response efforts in the 3 recent hurricanes, our airmen are always there and part of the response force when needed. Reserve citizen airmen comprise 35% of the mobility and tanker force across the Air Force. We helped ensure global reach in 80 different countries, flying over 4,000 missions, 7,000 sorties, and 32,000 flying hours. Our crews delivered over 36,000 passengers, 34,000 tons of cargo around the world. We flew 15,000 air refueling sorties, supporting 38,500 receivers, offloading over 370 million pounds of fuel. 4,000 reserve citizen airmen were activated, providing mission-critical support of the global efforts in addition to the 4,300 on MPA every day. As we approach the end of another year, serving around the globe, I would like to share just a few stories about our airmen. Last February, airmen from the 68th Airlift Squadron, the 433rd Wing in San Antonio, Lackland, supported Operation Atlantic Resolve, which represents our ongoing commitment to maintaining peace and stability in the Baltic region. These airmen were tasked with supporting and transporting personnel and equipment from the 10th Combat Aviation Brigade at Fort Drum to Riga, Latvia. Battling extreme weather, these amazing airmen executed a manual engine start of the C-5M, transported 3 Army Black Hawk helicopters, all their supportive vehicles, and all their personnel, adding to the stability of the Baltic region. Let me talk about the outstanding crew of Vinyl 81, comprised of both reserve and active airmen from March Air Reserve Base. On the way home supporting an F-16 Coronet mission at 31,000 feet in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, that dreaded simulator scenario just became real. An unidentified fumes and a distinct acrid odor present, the crew made the decision to execute that emergency descent from 31,000 feet to 10,000 feet. With the fumes not dissipating, the crew quickly identified Navy facility San Nicolas Island as the nearest, safest runway. So it's an island 65 miles off the coast of California, 7 nautical miles long, no operating control tower, and limited Navy resources. The crew landed safely and evacuated safely. Again, amazing airmen doing amazing things. The forces of Mother Nature cannot deter the airmen of the 920th Rescue Wing, as they were integral to the response of the hurricanes Harvey, Irma, and Maria. The 920th Rescue Wing at Patrick was called into action when one of the largest natural disasters in United States history, Hurricane Harvey, devastated Texas in a matter of days back in August. 90 reserve citizen airmen, 2 HC-130 refueling aircraft, and 3 HH-60 helicopters deployed to Texas and began flying rescue missions 24 hours after the impact. Within 4 days, the HH-60 crews and the Guardian Angel teams rescued over 200 civilians, aided by 20 refueling missions, enabling helicopters and Guardian Angel crews to remain on the scene longer and serve as that airborne mission commander, coordinating 16 rescue assets from 6 different agencies and providing that sole direct communication for vital 9/11 phone calls. The 45th the AES squadron out of MacDill, in conjunction with the 815th squadron out of Keesler, took part in the humanitarian evacuation flight into the Virgin Islands, safely transporting over 60 patients back to the United States using C-17 and C-130 aircraft so that they could receive the treatment that they needed. Additionally, the men and women of the 433rd, whose operational support I spoke about earlier, quickly made themselves available for supply and relief efforts. The Alamo Wing flew 17 critical support and resupply missions following the 3 devastating hurricanes. Finally, reservists from the 53rd Weather Reconnaissance Squadron out of Keesler, better known as the Hurricane Hunters, flew weather reconnaissance missions nonstop from the initial forming of Hurricane Harvey until the completion of Hurricane Maria. The life-saving data they collected every day contributed to the National Hurricane Center's ability to determine the intensity of multiple storms and predict their path. Over a period of a few days, Hurricane Hunters were flying missions in 3 different hurricanes in the Atlantic region simultaneously for the first time in 7 years. Amazing airmen accomplishing amazing things. Service is a calling. It's a calling we have answered as airmen for the past 70 years. We support and are engaged in combat operations every day across every mission set, enabling our Air Force and joint partners to succeed across the full spectrum of conflict whenever and wherever needed. We succeed because we recognize that our greatest resource is our airmen. Our airmen are skilled, they're experienced, and they're combat ready. Our civilian expertise enhances the mission. Our flexible, patriotic employers enable our efforts. And we are heroically supported at home as we try to balance our uniform and civilian life in service to this amazing country. The future of the Air Force Reserve is bright, and we will continue to recruit and retain highly skilled, experienced airmen and civilians needed to deliver air, space, and cyber capabilities when called upon. We will continue to strengthen our foundation as a reserve force. We will build on our readiness and capabilities for today's fight, and we will shape the force for the future threat environment. So I want to thank every airman in this room for your service and your amazing commitment. Our strength as an Air Force is vested in our ability to bring all of our talents and skills to the fight. The future fight is more complex, and leveraging the total capabilities and experience only multiply our efforts across every single domain. So what I want to do now is share a story about service with all of you. When I talk to my youngest airmen, when I go on wing visits, when the chief and I go out there and speak with our airmen, we talk about commitment to serve. We talk about what service means to all of us. Service comes from the heart. It is a calling. So the story I tell is about a doctor who goes to Calcutta, India. I found out about this story because my youngest brother and I, Michael, went to Calcutta. And we spent 2.5 weeks with Mother Teresa's Missionaries of Charity, working in an orphanage with 400 orphans in it, working in the House of the Dying, working in a leprosy colony, working in a nursing home, and just an amazing time spending our days with the poorest of the poor. So when we go to the House of the Dying, Kalagat is the name of this house. Our first day of service there, Sister Priscilla said, "Let me tell you about what service means." So she started telling us a story about a doctor who comes to Calcutta from the United States. This doctor is a well-known internist, trained at the best schools in this country, and well-known throughout the country for being a great internist. So he goes to Calcutta, he goes to the House of the Dying, he goes to Mother Teresa's House of the Dying, and he says, "I'm going to make a difference. I'm going to make a difference in people's lives, and I'm going to save lives." So he goes there with this purpose in mind. He shows up at the front door. He's all excited. He's met at the front door by Sister Priscilla. Mother Teresa's sisters, most of them are Indian, and the average height is about like this. So they're petite sisters. So he's a tall man. He's 6'2". "Sister, I'm here to help out." She says, "Yes, fine, follow me." So they go through the front door, the entrance to Kalagat. They come upon the women's section. They separate the men and women. And so they're walking through the women's section, and as they go from bed to bed, he's walking past all these women, and he's thinking to himself, "I could help this one. Ooh, I can help that one over there. He's thinking, "We need to stop. I can help this one." They keep walking through the women's section. Next is the men's section. Same thing. Sister goes, "Just follow me, doctor." And he's going, she goes, "Just follow me. Just keep following me." So they go through the men's section. He's going, "The sick must be in the back of the house. The really sick must be in the back of the house." They continue, they get to the kitchen. He's going, "In the kitchen? Why am I in the kitchen? This makes no sense." And then he's thinking to himself, "The sick must be outside. They must not have brought him in yet. I get it. They're outside." They get to the back. They walk out the back door. There's no one out there. There's a pile of refuge about this high, about 8 feet in diameter. And she says, "Doctor, I need you to take this pile. There's 2 buckets. There's a shovel. I need you to move this pile down to the end of the street." And it's 150 yards to the end of the street. And he's going, but sister, I'm a doctor. He's got the stethoscope around his neck. "I'm a doctor." She goes, "I understand. I need you to move this pile down to the end of the street. The trash men come at the end of the day, and this has to be down there." So he does it. She turns around. She says, "Thank you, doctor." She turns around and walks in. She goes, "I'll come back and check on you later." He's frustrated. He takes the stethoscope off. He's saying a bunch of words that I can't repeat. Sticks the stethoscope in his pocket, and he says, this is not going to change. I need to get to work. But the whole time he's going, I am Columbia trained. I am an internist. I am well renowned throughout the United States and the world, and I'm moving trash. So as he's trying to get through this, because it doesn't smell very good, 6 hours later, he's done. He's moved this entire pile down to the dump at the end of the street. So he's thinking to himself, I'm not coming back tomorrow. This has just totally blown up my whole trip. Coming to Calcutta has just not been what I thought it was going to be. I just don't understand what's happened to me today. So he goes back through the building. He gets through the kitchen. Well, they're making dinner now. It's taken him that long. They've gone through lunch. They're making dinner. They go through the men's section. Look at all the people I could have helped. He gets to the women's section. Again, all the people I could have helped today. Instead, I was moving a pile of trash. Gets to the entrance back into the lobby of Calicut. Sister takes about 10 minutes to get there, so he's standing there just thinking, what am I going to do? What am I going to say to her? He looks up. He sees a sign on the wall. It's a sign about yay big, handwritten, and it says, we are not expected to do great things. We are expected to do small things with great love. And it hit him. He had gone there thinking, I'm going to change the world. Sister didn't need him to change the world that day. Sister needed him to move that pile of refuge from that back door to the dump so that her sisters at the end of the day didn't have to do that, because the volunteers that were supposed to come to do that didn't come that day. And her sisters and her, 4 of them, would have had to move that entire thing and not take care of the patients that were in Calicut, the house of the dying. So think about the impact he made that day for that overall house, right? So he goes, I get it. He's overtaken with emotion. I get it. I now get it. I get why I'm here. She comes in and she says, Doctor, how was your day? He says, fantastic. And she says, are you coming back tomorrow? He said, absolutely. So it's, we join the Air Force to do great things because our heart is to serve. That's who we are as airmen. That's who we are as an Air Force. So when I talked to my airmen, I said, you're going to do great things. But also understand it's the little things that matter too. And sometimes those little things matter than the big things, much more than the big things. And that's where excellence comes in. Service before self. That's what that means. That we take care of the littlest things the best that we can. So when I talk to my young airmen, I talk to them about their Calcuttas. Calcutta is a place, the poorest of the poor in this country, in the world, the poorest of the poor. We all have our Calcuttas inside, the things that we struggle with. It is not physical poverty that we struggle with, but we struggle with many other poverties in our life. It may be spiritual, it may be emotional. A lot of different Calcuttas each one of us deal with every single day. So your airmen as leaders out there, and we're all leaders in this room. Squadron commander, airman basic, we're all leaders. So we all need to be leaders to each other. And we all need to understand, where are our Calcuttas? Where do we need help? Where do we need to reach out to each other? Because we are only as strong as our ability to reach out to each other. And once we take that to heart, we can do many small things with great love. And those small things will turn into great things because we're the greatest Air Force on the planet. So take care of your airmen. Find out where their Calcuttas are. And give them all the love and support they need. Because they're going to do the mission. It's a given. It's a given. That's why they joined. It's that other piece that we've got to strengthen. It's that other piece, and we call it resilience. I call it, where's our strength? Let's reach our strength. Let's reach our strength. We reach our strength as an Air Force because we've leveraged the Guard and Reserve. We do it, as General McNabb says, we do it better than anybody else. There's no doubt. There's no doubt. We do it better than any other service, and we do it better than anyone on the planet because we understand each other. Whether we serve part-time or full-time, we get it. It's about the big things, and it's always about the little things. So, in wrapping up, I just want to say thank you for this opportunity to come and speak with you. Thank you for the opportunity to serve alongside of you in the best Air Force on the planet. Thank you for being the amazing leaders you are. And let's take care of each other's Calcuttas, because it's important. What I'm going to do now is transition to a painting unveiling. We do this. We have amazing artists in our Air Force Reserve, and Darby Perrin is one of them. And we're going to unveil a painting. So if I can have General McNabb, General Everhart. So General Everhart, sir, if you would come up, please. And we will have the rest of the crowd here. Darby Perrin is the artist. So we have the artist, and if I can have the wing commander of the 302nd come on up. James, come on up, please. So James DeVere is the wing commander of the 302nd at Peterson Field. This is a painting regarding the 302nd and specifically the 731st Airlift Squadron. I'll have my aide read what the painting's about, and then we'll unveil the painting. So thank you. Come on down here, Jim.
The title of the painting is Earth, Blood, and Fire by Senior Master Sergeant Darby Perrin. A wildland fire racing down a forested ridgeline towards a small town is a terrifying force in nature. The United States averages more than 73,000 fires each year that burn 7 million acres. Fire seasons are growing longer and more destructive. Fires are both bigger and demonstrate more extreme fire behavior as they burn more acreage each year. Each fire season, the United States Forest Service sends ground and aerial firefighters to protect lives and property. Thank you. When civilian capability to fight the fires is exhausted, the National Interagency Fire Center in Boise, Idaho, calls the United States Air Force for help. That help arrives in the form of large, noisy, 4-engine Air Force C-130 Hercules aircraft with big fluorescent orange numbers on them. Each of the aircraft are equipped with second-generation modular airborne firefighting systems, or MAFs, capable of dropping nearly 30,000 pounds of water or bright red fire retardant in about 5 seconds to cover an area a quarter-mile long and 60 feet wide. Each drop reduces the fire's intensity and slows the growth of wildfires so that firefighters on the ground can build containment lines. The aerial firefighting mission is dangerous, and the fires are unpredictable. It is often described as the most challenging flying done in the C-130 with low altitudes, low speeds, but with high density altitude and high temperatures. The aircraft drops fire retardant from 150 to 200 feet above ground level at 120 knots, just slightly above stall speed, and often through smoke in mountainous terrain. Pilots are max performing the aircraft every time, and there is very little room for error. Only the most experienced air crews are selected for the firefighting mission, and they train with the United States Forestry Service and are recertified before each year's fire season. In the summer of 2000, MAFS 5, flown by reserve citizen airmen from the 731st Airlift Squadron, 302nd Airlift Wing, based at Peterson Air Force Base, Colorado, faced challenging conditions as they followed a Forest Service lead plane to its drop on an area where fire and smoke were blowing up in a valley. As they entered the final turn for the run-in to the drop at 120 knots at a mere 150 feet above the valley floor, the winds shifted. Large trees erupted into flaming torches, shooting fire and thick black smoke into the sky. Unable to maneuver in the valley, the aircraft plunged into a furnace of black smoke. 2 engines quit. The crew immediately dumped their fire retardant load, and struggling to keep the aircraft stable, they successfully restarted one of the 2 engines. The added power enabled the aircraft to clear the ridgeline before safely returning to the Channel Islands Air National Guard Base, California.
Yeah, you can see Darby's a very talented artist for sure. This mission is also, the 302nd does this mission for the Air Force Reserve. The Air National Guard has 3 wings that actually perform this mission and do an amazing job. So thank you all. Appreciate it.